Welcome back everyone for another amazing session on Unity Catalog. So this session we will talk about how to create a Unity Catalog and also the schema, tables, all other objects inside the catalog. We can create multiple catalog, attach to the meta store and check the access for each and every object and also the usage, right? We can define how different personas like data scientist, analyst, or data engineers can make use of this Unity catalog for better governance. For this demo, I created one cluster. So one thing you need to notice is you always have to go for the latest stable version of the cluster, right? So for this demo, I selected 14.1. So as I told you before in my theory session, we should not go for any cluster that is lesser than 13 or 11. So if you are going with that, or if your cluster is 11 at this moment, you can upgrade to the latest version. And most of the time, when you upgrade the cluster, there will not be any issue on your current program. And there is a backward compatibility also for the latest stable version. Okay, so the cluster is up. As I told you before, the advanced option, this should not be marked enable credential pass-through for user level data access. So if you're not using Unity Catalog, yes, you can go ahead and enable this one, and the access to the data lake purely based on your enter ID. Now, let's go to Workspace and click on New Notebook. And now our cluster is ready. Let's go and utilize the Unity Catalog. So when you create the meta store, Databricks gives sample notebook that contains a lot of different codes that can be used to create catalog or manipulate catalog, schemas, tables. You can create it. So I just take the copy of this code for now. Just want to understand what are the catalogs right now. We have it in our meta store, right? So this is the notebook I created. Let's execute and see how many catalogs, default catalogs we have it. So we have high meta store, main, then sample, system, right? Let's go and check. If you want to understand more on this one, on the left hand side you can see catalog. Click on that. That will open up the UI, right? So this is what you have seen in the notebook. If you look at the main catalog, you have the default. Either you can create the tables here or you can create a new catalog. I'm gonna create new catalog for this demo. And another thing I need to take your attention to is the information schema that you can see here. This is exactly the same information schema or similar information schema you could find in SQL Server. So what it contains all the system related information, right? Column tags, columns, catalog. So this will be useful for querying your metadata and also to understand what is happening. Even in case of lineage also they are using this information, right? So if you look at on the top of this one, right, this is the meta store that we created, my Unity catalog meta. If you click on the settings, you can see much more details on the meta store, like meta store ID, region in which the meta store got created, then storage, root, credential ID, etc. Right now, the external delta sharing is disabled. I will talk to you about delta sharing later in different session. And on the next tab, you can see permissions. So here is the place where you can give permissions to different users to use the Unity catalog. Not only to use the catalog, but also to provide access to the tables based on your department, functions, personas, etc. If you want to give any user access to create schema, you can create Unity catalog. Just click on the grant and that will open up the dialog box where you can select different options. For this demo, I'm just selecting create catalog, or you can select everything, and you can select everything or whatever you like to. Then click on the user that you want to give the access. For now, I'm giving my email ID here, and once you give the email ID, you can give multiple email IDs also, right? Then the grant button will be enabled here. Just click on that grant. So this specific user is having access to all these provisions, privileges, right? And if you want to revoke it, you just select the user here and the revoke button will appear. Just click on the revoke. All right, now go back to the catalog here. You can, on the right hand side, you can see create catalog button. Click on that, and here you can give the name of your catalog. So I'm just going to give name as my catalog demo, and the type is standard or foreign. Standard is the normal um, catalog for holding the tables, views, and other objects, and I'm not going to mount any other uh, things like MySQL, Postgre, or SQL Server, Snowflake, or anything. So for this one, I just need standard, and the location I'm just keeping the same location for now. I don't, so the whatever the location it is assigned while creating the data connector, Databricks connector, that with this catalog will be using the same connector. Okay, so just click on create. Your catalog is now ready. So your catalog name is my catalog demo. Right now we will see how we can create the tables or schemas in this catalog. Right, so let's go back to the workspace, click on the notebook, and now you can type, you can use SQL or Python, any language, but here I'm using SQL. Here you can use catalog. What is the catalog name? My catalog demo. And the interesting thing you might have observed here, right? If you give space and type something, it will automatically show the IntelliSense. That is the great enhancement that Databricks has given to the developers. Now here, use this one. Now, right now, this notebook is using my catalog demo. Right now, if you want to check how many schemas available here, again you can go back to the sample notebook that provided by Databricks. Here you have the required command here, right? Either you can use, this is Python, so you can use display spark.sql show schemas, or directly you can use %sql and use the same command, show schemas. And you can observe that there are two default schemas currently available, that is default and information schema. But normally if you ingest any new data set, the normal business data set, you are not going to insert in default or information schema. The best practice is have your own schema, then insert the data there, right? So for that I need to create a new schema. So it's the same syntax that you use in SQL. So give create schema and provide some name like EDW, right? Execute this, and this will create the schema. Now execute back, show schemas again, and find that this EDW is available here. The same thing you can see it on the catalog UI. Click on this one, and this is my catalog just now, and EDW is the schema, and I'm not seeing any data here. Right now, let's go and create the table. Let's go back here, click on my notebook, catalog is ready, schema is ready. Now I'm going to create the table, right? And as I mentioned you before, in this Unity catalog, we are always creating delta table, right? So let's create a table, create table, table name, any demo table. I'm going to add two columns, let's say ID, integer, and name, string, okay? And this is delta. Now it is come like that. Again, the important thing, right? Normally, Databricks prefers managed table for Unity catalog. In the sense, you don't need to give the external path here. So whenever you create the table, it will go and create the data in the path you mentioned in your Azure Data Lake Gen 2. We will also see how we can create the external table, because before the Unity catalog, organization create the external tables. It may be delta table or parquet files, and create the table on top of it, right? So that way we can have a much more control previously, but with the invention of Unity catalog, the governance is totally going in a different level. So this is the method you can create the demo table. Now I'm going to create it, and let's see what changes is happening on the Azure Data Lake Gen 2. Okay. Okay, your table is created. Let's go back to the storage, and you can see the table has got created inside root and here. You know the reason why it is created here? Because while creating the meta store, I didn't give the path as marked. So if you go here, let me click on the, see, this is where it will get created. Instead, if I would have given marked, that is inside this, it might have created here, right? But that's what you always have to design well in advance, where you are going to store your delta tables and give the path. So if I given path as a mart, this particular folder will go inside of this mart, right? And now here you can see we have a tables. Inside tables we have delta log. So when I insert the records, the data comes here. Let's go and insert. Again, percentage SQL, insert into demo table, values 1 and stage 2. Let's, only 2 records are enough. So let me close this. Okay. So now check how many records came in. We have 2 records. Now let's go back to the same folder here. Let's see what happened. You can see the 2 files came in, right? So all the tables are storing here inside the root, this specific ID inside the tables, and inside this. All right. So we have seen how to create the catalog, how to create the schemas, how to create the tables, right? We will see how we can access the external tables, right? As I told you before, we can either create the data inside the external table, or you can keep it outside, right? For that, we need to do some changes here. If you click on here on the left hand side catalog, you can see delta sharing and external data, right? So click on the external data, and here you can see credential is fine, the same credential we are going to use. And on the external location, right, this is the default location that it's selected for storing the external table. So if you click here, let me click here, so this also will go here. So instead, where I need to store the external table, I'm going to create a location here, right? The create location is my external mark. Okay, I'm going to use the same uh, storage credential, but the URL should be different. It should start with container name, storage account name, and the path. Okay, so I have copied this path. You need to add abfss colon root, then at storage account name dfs.core.windows.net and the path, right? So let me add it here and create. And now you can test the connection. Everything is fine. You have read, list, write, delete, path also exist. So everything is good. Your external layer is good now, right? You can notice that the path has changed to mart. Now let's go back to workspace. Click on the same notebook. I'm going to create the same table that I just created here, right? Where is the table creation? Okay. Let me select this. I'm gonna create the same table again, but this time I'm going to give location, and the location should be like let me go back again. Okay, I think I have this. Okay, this is the location. It's going to create the table, right? I can give table name also. Now let's execute this. Because the table is already exists, I'm using the same catalog. That's why it is saying that the table is already exists. It cannot create the same name. That's fine. I'll just going to change this to version 2. Okay. And let me execute the same records again. I can use SQL. I can use Spark. Doesn't matter. Only the storage is different, right? So version 2. Okay, execute. Super. Now we'll go back here, refresh. Let's go back to the previous place, root, mart, demo table. You can see the data here.
One thing I forgot to inform you about the schema. We created the schema, but if you observe, the table is not created inside the schema. So where it got created? Let's go to the catalog again and look at the catalog and expand EDW. There is no table, right? So it got created inside the default schema. So when you create the schema, use that schema before creating the table, then it will create inside that schema. So let me execute this. Now you can create new table. You'll not be able to create the same table again, but we can create the new table version 3, and this also you can change to version 3. Execute this. Okay, so it got created. Let's go to the catalog, expand the catalog, expand EDW. Now you can see the data here. You can look at the sample data on the right hand side. Right now there is no data, that's why it is not showing. And if you click on details, it will give you more details on the table, like the storage location, which version it is, whether it is external or internal, who created it is, when it is created. All this metadata will be stored here. You can see the permissions. You can grant permission to specific user or the group, and look at the history. History right now, it may not be there anything. It just got created. It can also explain the lineage if multiple tables used to create this new table. I'll talk about that later, right? Okay, so if you want to see the data, that also you can see here. We have the data, right? Sample data. Yeah, these are the two records we inserted. All right. Hope you enjoyed and learned something new in this session. But stay tuned, it's not over. Lot more topics to cover in this Unity catalog. Stay tuned and enjoy learning. Thank you. Thank you for watching this.